Hello, my name's Andy Stevens. I'm the Senior Tutor at the Ancient Technology Centre and a living historian. The Ancient Technology Centre is a living history and experimental archaeology centre. It's been here for about 30 years, just over. And we've got a range of buildings from the Mesolithic up to the Viking era all about us. We primarily teach school groups, but we also work with students, we work with local interest groups and the public as well. Just behind us is, or in front of us here, is Cranbourne Middle School, and there was a teacher there back in the 80s, Jake Keane, who built a roundhouse, an Iron Age roundhouse with his children. Then they built another one, and eventually it grew into its own centre. Some of the school field was given over to house the ATC, and it's been growing from there really, with the aims to not just recreate historical buildings but incorporate them into modern buildings as well for modern purposes. So for example, the venue behind me, the Earth House, is used as a music venue and storytelling venue, as well as working with school children and teaching them about prehistory. I hope they realised how, without trying to sound too negative in some ways, how disconnected so much of our lives have become from nature, and it gives them that appreciation of it. You know, I mean, what I love is when we're doing Viking, we do Viking residentials. The children, they're dressed in Viking kit, and they cook their own meals using vegetables that would have been available at the time, and some of those we actually take from our garden. We've got an Anglo-Saxon vegetable garden, and so we have a team go out and do some weeding. They'll pick some vegetables and they'll use it in their stew. Or they'll harvest things, herbs. They'll harvest the leaves for their dyes, and I think that really, hopefully, gets them to realise how connected we can be to nature, how historically we have been, and how we still should be. You know, we do try and instill a sense of belonging to nature and nature belonging to us. We have willow trees, for example. Willow is fantastic for weaving. We use it for dyes. We use it for the bark for tanning. It's a very useful wood, and we've got several of those around our Stone Age area. And the fantastic thing about that is, whether we're tanning there and processing the bark, or whether we are using the willow to tie thatch into the Mesolithic structures there, it's really useful having it right there. We also use walnut. We've planted several walnut trees, which we use for dyes and things like that. So yeah, most of our wood, if not harvested here, we coppice in a local woodland, and so we're using local hazel to build all of the buildings here, to build all of the fences that you see around here. So that's really special, especially when we get to take children up to the woods for half a day. We coppice some of the trees, and then they get to bring them back, process them, see how the whole thing works. We try to keep to seasonal jobs as our ancestors would have done. So a lot of the work at the moment is maintenance, and it's fence building. So it's coppicing, it's fence building, so making wattle fences, textiles, things that you could traditionally do inside. But in the summer months it sort of expands, and it's everything from blacksmithing and archery to dyes to flint knapping. We try and make things on site, anything we're going to use, so gate fixings, making nails up in the forge, we do that. If we need some examples to show a school, we'll knap them, or we'll forge them if we can, or we'll get someone in to come and do it. So yeah, we're big believers in trying to keep everything sort of as authentic as possible and as localised as possible. And as I mentioned, up in the woods, most of the wood here was sourced locally. So if we can't get it here, we try and get it from somewhere very close by. In terms of on the natural side of things, you know, I've had letters, we all have, from children who not only have drawn us a really cute picture and a lovely write-up of their day, but have said how they're going to take care more going out into the woods, and how one of them telling me how someone that did a coppicing day with us went and showed their parents, and this was like weeks later, all of these things that we'd shown them in a woods. So they identified some fox scat, I think. They were telling the parents about the different trees. I mean, bless him, I think he had a little notepad with him on the day. And I think it really sort of brings it home. So yeah, it really does impact people, you know, and especially children. And if you can change one mind or install a love of nature or history into one child out of a whole school group, you know, it's worth it, really. So a lot of people locally and who have come from quite far away have said how much they love this place, how it is like stepping back in time when they walk in. I mean, personally, the building behind me, every time I open the door in the morning, I've been here over 2 years, and it still takes my breath away walking into that space. So it's a real special place, and I think, you know, sort of really you've got to visit it yourselves. And we do have multiple open days every year, courses, things like that. So yeah, hopefully see some of you there.